Berkeley Gorilla Studios coming at you live from the trees of Barbie Land. Barbie being the
Woo!
biggest movie of 2023. I'm Braden, joined by
Yeah,
Everest as always, and we're here to talk about the best movies of 2023.
yeah, because it's 2024 now. That's crazy. We're in the new year.
We are.
Holy fuck. Dude, 2023 was interesting. It was definitely a year. I'll say that. But some great movies came out this year. At least for me personally. I don't know how you feel about it. I don't think it was as good as 2022 in terms of movies. Like there weren't as many movies that I gave like 4.5 or 5 stars to, but I still thought a lot of good stuff came out this year.
I think I saw more stuff this year, but I probably do agree with you. I didn't give a lot of films more than 4 stars or 4 stars or more.
Yeah. Um, which isn't a bad thing. There definitely was some great stuff. We're going to talk about it. First, we wanted to start out by just highlighting like some TV stuff that we watched and really enjoyed this year. Neither Braden or I watched that much TV compared to how many movies we watch. At least like current ongoing TV shows. But guess we can start out. There was a show on Netflix came out that was called Beef this past year that I really loved and I watched it and I told Braden to watch it and he watched it all in like 2 days. It was crazy.
I watched it all in
You
one
binged
day,
the
dude.
hell
I
out of that.
binged the fuck out of it. I was off the day you told me to watch it, so yeah, you bet your ass I fucking just binged the fuck out of it.
Yeah, dude, Beef was so good. I think they're making a second season. I don't know. I'm excited for that though if it happens because I did not know what to expect when I started watching it. I knew Steven Yeun was in it, who I really like, and I just started it, and I don't know. It's a really unique show. It's entertaining as fuck, um, and it has a pretty like natural progression throughout it. I think it was very easy to binge. Like I didn't do it in one day, but I watched it all pretty quickly.
Yeah, I got pretty weird and pretty insane by the end.
It
And
the
it's
the
good.
finale is absurd. Yeah,
The
I
soundtrack also bangs.
Oh, yes, dude, thank you for mentioning that. I have like so many songs in my regular listening rotation now
Oh,
from
me
that
too.
show.
The acoustic version of Drive just played the other day for me, and I was like, "Yep, I added this because of beef."
Yeah, that's awesome. They play what Lonely Day, System of a Down, which we originally heard in Disturbia with uh what's that act? Shia LaBeouf. That was crazy.
No, oh, I forgot Shia LaBeouf was the one in that movie.
Yeah, that
Oh
movie
yeah,
is a
the
fever
Rear
dream. I
Window remake almost.
the like edgy teen uh like dark Rear Window. I don't know. Rear Window's already kind of a dark movie, but like the edgy teen Rear Window.
Yeah, it's just the emo version of Rear Window.
But yeah, it's just emo. It's like if Rear Window listened to My Chemical Romance. That's basically Disturbia.
Yeah, but it
Also
had that
good.
song in it, so it's a goated.
Yeah, it is goated actually because that song is awesome. The title of that movie is also a good Rihanna song. So not all
Maybe
not
her
all
best
bad
song.
things. I love that song. That song played for me the other day, and I was like, I don't listen to a ton of Rihanna. That song bangs.
It
She
does,
should have
huh?
played it at the
Yeah.
Super Bowl.
She should have, dude. What the fuck was she thinking?
I don't know. How do you play Work and not
Yeah,
Disturbia?
what?
That
That is an
that was
ins
crazy
that's
to
just
me.
an insult to your own discography.
It really.
Come on,
Um,
girl.
we have Usher doing the Super Bowl this year, dude. Like, what the heck?
And it feels like the NFL is like 15 years behind on everything.
They're so out of touch. I don't really understand it,
Like,
but
bro, are you I don't know, is most of the football fan base like 40-year-olds?
I I don't know. But even then, I feel like yeah, it's a move I don't really understand. I probably won't be excited for it. Maybe I'll watch it just because what else am I gonna do during that time? But
Yeah, I mean, I want to be there for when the second half starts, so I might just have to sit through it.
yeah. Uh, but anyways, people should watch Beef. It's pretty entertaining, pretty easy watch. Steven Yeun is awesome, and it does get really. absurd and kind of weird towards the end, which I wasn't expecting. But I still thought it was an interesting direction to take the show. So I don't know, it didn't end the strongest for me, but it was a watch that I really loved as far as TV goes.
Yeah, it really shows why toxicity in the human race is a terrible thing.
That's true. Yeah. Um, Other than that, what else? We were going to talk about the final season of Barry, which also came out this year. We've both watched Barry for a couple years now, and it's been a show we really like. I personally, I don't know if this is a hot take because I don't really know like the general feeling on Barry. I did not think it was the strongest ending ever, season four. Um, I still liked it, but some of the choices they made weren't my favorite. I know you were talking about this before we started. I'll let you kind of dive into it, but it was a good ending, not the best, especially when like I really love seasons one and two of that show. Those are kind of the best parts of it for me. So a little bit disappointed, but still a good watch.
Yeah, I feel like me and you basically agree on that. I think seasons one and two are the best as well. Season three and four, they're not bad. I don't think there is a bad
No,
season of the
not at all.
show. But yeah, I didn't really understand their direction with the ending of the show. Like the second half of season four, just entirely being like flash forward scenes was not a choice I was really there for. It kind of honestly took me out of everything because the first half I was pretty invested. Like I was interested to see where everything was gonna go, and then it just turned into that, and I was like, I don't know, man. I'm not with
Yeah,
you. I'm not with you here.
yeah.
But
I
but
uh I
but it
feel
was still
that.
all right, you know. You gotta take what you get.
Yeah, you do indeed. I don't know, new season of The Bear came out. I love The Bear, so that was pretty cool. Did you watch the Gen V show
I
yet?
did.
The Boys spinoff? Is it? I haven't. Okay, I watched like I started it, but I haven't finished it. Do you like it or what?
Here's what I do like it, but here's what I'll say. I don't think it's as good as The Boys, but if you like The Boys, especially if you like love The Boys, I think you'll at least enjoy Gen V. It's very much like the same, you know, same tone, same like vibes. Just I didn't get as connected with the characters as much as I did with anyone in The Boys, you know? Like there's not
Mm,
anyone where I'm like, "Oh shit, I need to watch this because it's fucking Butcher. Butcher's awesome." Yeah, there's not a
yeah,
character like
Butcher,
that in
Homelander. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that makes sense. I probably will finish it because I do really like The Boys. I don't know when we're getting the new season of that. Sometime this year.
Yeah, have you seen the
But
teaser for it?
I did. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, I thought it was cool too. It took me a minute to get around to it, but I finally did, and I was like, yeah, I'm just ready for season four, man. I really hope
Yeah,
season four needs to do something big, like for real,
I
because
agree.
season three, I
Yeah.
as much as I love season three, it was it's kind of a letdown in the end, just because
Mhm.
I don't know, man, really no major character died, man. You're making it
Yeah.
feel like the stakes are not there when they should be.
I agree with you. That's been kind of a very like microly growing issue with the boys for me. It's not something that's taken me out of the show. I still love the show, but it feels like
It's
there
like
should
they're
be more
trying to
consequences.
yeah, yeah, it's like they're trying to build to something, but without
That
any actual progression because, yeah, exactly, it doesn't feel like there are consequences.
Yeah, it feels like they're building and building and building, and there should be these big consequences along the way. So either they're just saving it up for this huge explosion in like season four. Maybe that's what they're doing, and it's going to be awesome. But I'm at the point where I really need to see something happen and shift everything on the boys because it's been great, but it's kind of gotten to the point where I know what to expect, and
They're almost to that point where I feel like they can't avoid something like that either. Like Homelander being this evil, conniving son of a bitch is like getting further and further into the public eye. Like more and more people are seeing him as what he really is each day.
yeah.
So some shit's got to pop off
Yeah,
sooner rather than later.
something's got to give with the boys. I agree with that.
Especially with
Yeah,
Butcher having
honestly,
cancer now, like he's probably gonna be dead within the next year. Like,
right.
yeah, you know some shit's gonna pop off.
Yeah. I hope it lives up to the expectation, at least for me.
Do you think they're
Um,
gonna do like like the end of the show is gonna be like they're just gonna go like Death of Superman route almost? Like Butcher has cancer, he's gonna die anyway, so like he sacrifices himself to kill Homelander or some
to
shit.
kill Homelander. I feel
Yeah,
like that could be a little too like
on the nose.
mainstream, like on the nose for the boys. Um, but I mean, they could make that work. I would expect them to do something a little more unexpected or
Well,
different.
yeah, the
But
fact that I just predicted that, I would also. I feel like they're more creative than that, but
yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking. But it's a good idea nonetheless. Um, yeah, I
it's
don't know.
better
I
than
need
some
to.
directions they could take it. But yeah, there's yeah, they. I hope they take it in a much more interesting direction than that.
I want to try and watch more TV in 2024, but I don't know. I just it's hard, dude. Especially starting new stuff. Starting new shows is just so daunting to me, and it's like there's
So
so much great.
especially if it's not a new show, it's just like new to you, and it's already got like a
Yeah,
few
yeah,
seasons. It's hard to catch up on shit, man. It really is.
yeah. It's hard. But all right. That being said, unless you have anything else you want to shout out, we could move into our favorite movies of last year.
We can go ahead and get into the movies. I didn't watch a lot of shows at all.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we're gonna kick off things with just some honorable mentions. This was stuff we're doing top tens, by the way. So we each have our top 10 favorite movies, but at least I have a couple honorable mentions that I wanted to shout out that I guess I can kind of go through right now, um, if that's all good. So, Talk to Me was a horror movie that came out this year that I really loved. Braden hasn't seen it yet. I've told him he needs to watch it because I think you'd really like it. It's it feels pretty unique, which I feel like is hard to do these days with horror. Um, it's not like nothing you've seen before, but it takes things in a direction that I think is really interesting. It's got some good scares. Uh, there were some points that I mean, it relies not mostly on jump scares, but there are some good jump scares. Overall, I just thought it was a really clever like script, and I liked it a lot. So, Talk to Me was good. Uh, Killers of the Flower Moon, way too fucking long, but if you're willing to sit
That's the
through it,
main reason I haven't watched it.
yeah, which is valid. It's so long. I saw it in the theaters, and I legit had to like take a break halfway through. I stepped out and like checked my phone for a bit because it was a lot. But it is a great movie if you can sit through it. Anatomy of a Fall was like you might like this movie. Some of it is in French, and it is kind of slow at the start, but it's like sort of a murder mystery, sort of a courtroom drama. Um, Kind of like this wife having to defend herself after she's um, like put on trial for the murder of her husband. Um, but she didn't do it. But like maybe she did. I don't know. It's pretty cool. The Iron Claw is the new like wrestling movie about the Von Erichs with like Zac Efron and Jeremy Allen White. That barely missed my list, and I'm actually pretty bummed about that because I love that movie. It's super sad, which obviously you'd expect because like if you know the true story about that family, it's very tragic. But Zac Efron was awesome. Pretty much everyone involved is great, and I liked it a lot. You were telling me some fun fact about the like making of that movie, or how Zac Efron was trained by a dude. I don't remember exactly what you're saying.
Oh yeah, so Chavo Guerrero, who is, as wrestling fans may know, is Eddie Guerrero's nephew, trained him for that movie, which I don't know. I thought that was cool, just growing up as a WWE fan, you know?
Yeah, that's awesome. And then one I'm assuming you'll have in your top 10, it just missed out for me, was the third Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Um, I do wish I could have this in my top 10 because I thought it was great. James Gunn came back and really delivered. It was heartfelt. It was pretty much everything you'd want from a conclusion of that trilogy. There were just 10 movies I personally liked a little bit more, and I'm kind of off the edge with comic book stuff outside of like Batman to where it doesn't really feel like it hit the same for me. But Guardians was great. I'm assuming we'll talk about it more later on.
We will.
Okay. Okay. I just making sure. But yeah, that pretty much does it for my honorable mentions. If you want to get into some you want to shout out.
All right, couple honorable mentions for me is uh Asteroid City for one. I thought it was a pretty unique film, and
Yeah,
Scarlett Johansson's great in it.
she is great. That was a little farther down on my list too, but I liked it a lot. I'm a big Wes Anderson fan, so I thought it was
Yeah,
good.
Jason Schwartzman's really good too. Like I think
He
a
is
lot
good.
of the movie kind of relies on his performance, and he does a very good job with it. Another one is one you thought was just too weird, but I quite enjoyed it. Saltburn.
You're putting Saltburn in your honorable mentions. Damn.
Yeah, it was
That
pretty good.
hey, I
I
respect.
liked it quite a bit. Okay, it had a lot of parallels to
Yeah,
Killing of a Sacred Deer to me, which is a movie I do like more than this. And
yeah.
uh,
I like Killing of a Sacred Deer more, but I hey,
there
there's a
is
lot
some
of people
stuff in
who love.
Saltburn that is like it gets really weird. Okay, so if you're not about weird
Yeah.
stuff, I wouldn't recommend it. But if you're like I
Hmm.
don't know, it's weird, but it's deep. So like it's multiple things you're feeling throughout this movie, and I always just enjoy films that like elicit that kind of emotion out of you.
Yeah. I yeah, it won't be in my list, but I thought Barry Keoghan, Rosamund Pike were excellent. Jacob Elordi's pretty good in it too. He plays the like guy Barry Keoghan is into for the whole movie. And
Oh
I
yeah,
hadn't
Felix.
seen. Yeah, he plays Felix. Sorry, that's the name. I liked him in the movie. I think it looks beautiful. Like technically, it's pretty incredible. Like the look of that film. Again, for me, it was just too weird, and I didn't
Yeah,
like how
yeah.
it made me feel. But
Yeah, Barry Keoghan and Rosamund Pike were probably like the standout performances in the movie for me. I thought they were both great.
yeah.
And Barry Keoghan's just been great in anything I've seen him in. So at this point, like if I see his name in a cast list, like I'm curious to check that movie out.
Oh yeah, he's awesome. He's going to be one of the great actors of his generation.
Oh,
He's got a long time
100%.
still with him, but yeah.
And my last honorable mention here is going to be Knock at the Cabin. And I mainly just want to mention it because I think Dave Batista gives the performance of his career in this freaking movie. He is so
Ooh,
incredible. He is so incredible, dude.
I
If you
agree.
haven't seen it, I would watch, like, I would recommend it just entirely based off his performance.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out. I didn't get around to watching that one, but I like Dave Bautista a lot. I think we've talked pretty at length about how you, especially, and I agree with you, think he is the best of the sort of wrestlers that transitioned into acting.
Yeah, yeah, and I
Um,
think this movie proves it. Like, he is so
yeah,
fucking good. Like, I couldn't imagine The Rock or John Cena in that role. He is, it's the four horsemen of the apocalypse, but he is like the main horseman, so to speak.
hmm yeah. Well, I'll have to check it out. I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, it's quite good.
All right. Well, I guess all that's left is to go through our top tens. You want me to start it off?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. My number 10 is one I know we're both going to have on our list, and Braden's going to have it higher, I think. So we'll get to talk about this plenty, but it is Ben Affleck's Air, the Michael Jordan story, kind of how Nike got Michael Jordan signed to the iconic Air Jordan shoe deal. I was very excited for this movie just because it was Ben Affleck, who's a great director. He was working with Damon again, which is really cool. They kind of got back together on The Last Duel, which I liked. I think this movie's better than The Last Duel, which I mean Affleck didn't direct this, but this movie's one of the most entertaining of the year for me. I think it's so fun. I think it's rewatchable. I've already rewatched it. There's a lot more we can get into, but I know we will because Braden's got it on his list too. But Air is my number 10.
Yeah, yeah, I'm not ready to talk about that one. My
Yeah.
number
So,
10 is a movie we just talked about, Wonka.
ooh, Wonka. Hey,
Yeah, it made the top
hey,
10 just barely, but it's here, baby.
hey, we love that the Wonka. I'll let you talk about it, but I like Wonka. I like Wonka a lot. It just wasn't quite to that level for me.
Yeah, I thought it was fun enough. The music was good enough. I just thought it was interesting seeing a version of Wonka like pre the Chocolate Factory,
Hmm.
and it's just like there's so many different lenses you can look at the movie through, and it just makes it that much more interesting to me. Like how assuming that, this is the same Wonka that would become, Gene Wilder, Johnny Depp, Willy Wonka. And like, how did he get from there to there, point A to point B, so to speak? But we did an entire episode on that, so you can just go
We
listen
did
to the
an
last
entire
episode if
episode.
you want to hear, us talk more in depth about the movie Wonka.
Yeah, we talk about it a lot, but it's a fun movie for sure. Okay, moving right along. My number nine is sort of a Christmas movie, I guess you could say, and that's the Holdovers. I didn't catch this one in theaters. A lot of people went and saw it at my school in Boston when it came out. I waited. I didn't get to see it, so my family all watched it over Christmas break, and I love this movie. Braden, just watched it recently. I don't know if it'll be in here. I'm assuming he's got it on his list too, because I know he liked it. But it's just such a charming movie. It's got emotion, it's got heart, it's got laughs. Paul Giamatti, I think, is awesome in it, and there's a young actor who I think does a really great job too. This sort of trio of characters that finds each other while they have to stay at a like preparatory school or boarding school type of thing over Christmas break. It's a fun concept, executed really well. It's nothing special, but I just found it super wholesome, and I really loved
Yeah, I'm also not ready to talk about this one.
it. Yeah, well,
And my number nine is
this is
probably a
good.
movie you're not ready to talk about. It's Oppenheimer. Look, I really liked it. I think it's visually it's beautiful. The
Hmm.
cinematography in it is like some of the best of Nolan's career, probably. I think
Yeah,
the performances in it all around are really good. Cillian Murphy, I think, probably is the best in it, which but I'm just happy that he gave the best performance in that movie because I think Cillian Murphy like just deserves that. And I think he should get. Do you think he'll get nominated? You know more about Oscars than I do.
yeah, he's going to be nominated. He'll
I think
probably
okay,
be the favorite to win.
good,
Um,
good.
there's there's one or two other names that could potentially take it from him, but he's going to be nominated for sure.
Yeah, I think he deserves that. Like, I think he's always been a great actor, and he kind of just needed that like big role, and this was it.
Yeah, yeah. Like Brayden said, I will reserve a lot of talk about that movie for later on. But yeah, way to go, Oppenheimer. My number eight is a movie Brayden hasn't seen. I don't know if you plan on seeing it or not, but I saw it in theaters and I loved it. It's the new Godzilla movie from Japan that got a big release in the States. Godzilla minus one. Um, I've been a big Godzilla fan for a long time. Like when I grew up, my dad would always show me like the really old Godzilla movies, and so we kind of bonded over them. And although I like some of the MonsterVerse stuff, like the American Godzilla and Kong movies, I think there's some good stuff in those. None of them reach the level of depth that I think Godzilla minus one does. It has the big action monster destroying stuff moments, but it also has human characters that you actually care about, which is the biggest criticism I and pretty much everyone has of like Godzilla versus Kong and all of those kind of movies. Um, Sort of a wartime story. Just really great moments all around, and I was surprised how much I liked it. I think this one kind of came out of nowhere for a lot of people. The score was great. They used the OG Godzilla theme from like the original Japanese movies, which is awesome, and I'm happy they brought that back. So as a Godzilla fan, it made me very happy to see, and really liked it. So Godzilla minus one for me.
Yeah, this the story of this movie is kind of interesting to me because like how many people even knew about this thing before it came out? And then like it just got the highest and highest of praise. Like the word of mouth for that thing was
Yeah,
incredible.
yeah, it got a ton of word of mouth. They started putting out like trailers and clips and stuff, and I started seeing stuff about it in the like month leading up to it, but there wasn't a whole lot, and then word of mouth for it just went crazy. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I knew about it until you were seeing it, honestly.
Hey, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people who still don't know about it now, even though it did actually
Yeah,
do
yeah.
pretty well.
I
at the
know
box office.
I know Andrew, my co-host for the other podcast I do, he didn't even know about it and he's a huge Godzilla fan because I asked him about it and he's like, "Wait, what?"
Oh wow! Well,
Yeah,
tell
no,
him you should
yeah.
go see it. Tell him you should watch it.
I don't know if he did go and see it or not, but he said he might. If not, he'll probably see it once it comes home for sure.
Yeah,
Well, my number 8, I don't know if it's because I'm just a Patriots fan or what, but it's 80 for Brady.
let's go.
Like, I
I
thought
love
this
that.
movie was hilarious at points, and it was so sad at points too, because it's just about this group of four old women going to see the Super Bowl and having this like big experience with one another before they die. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so dark, but it's so fun, and there's so many different kind of vibes throughout. It's just fun seeing them interact with Patriots players, seeing Brady and Gronk in this movie. It's awesome.
Yeah, I really like this movie too. Probably more than most, just not quite as much as Braden. I gave this movie a positive review. I could have mentioned it in honorable mentions. I just wanted to keep that list pretty short, but it's like you said, it's so fun. I think it's got some hilarious moments. Like it is on its surface a really well done comedy, and then you add in the football elements and the Tom Brady New England Patriots stuff, um, as well as that sort of underlayer of like dark, like confronting death and living your best life and kind of living in the moment. um there's a lot of emotional stuff in it that I wasn't expecting to get me as much as it did. um Overall, I was excited about this movie as a joke before it came out, but then I went and saw it and I actually really like it. I need to rewatch it. It's probably pretty rewatchable, I would think. So
Yeah, me too.
definitely a fun one.
I was literally like only I saw the trailer for this movie in theaters. Actually right before Glass Onion. That was the first time I saw this trailer. And I was like, oh wow, I kind of want to see that just because Patriots, obviously. And then after you saw it before I did, and you said it was good, so I was like, oh, I definitely have to see this now. And it didn't disappoint.
Well, no, it's a really fun film. Um, yeah, I need to go back to that one. 80 for Brady. Seriously, take it seriously. It is a funny, like silly movie to get made. But it works on so many levels that I didn't expect it to. So
Yeah, it felt like a
hurrah.
lot of heart went into it opposed to this just being like, oh, this is a funny concept. Let's make it a movie.
Yeah, exactly. But moving on, my number 7. This is one I know we're both gonna have on our list. I don't know how high it's gonna be for Braden, but I imagine higher than 7. The newest Mission Impossible movie, Dead Reckoning Part One, is my number 7 of the year. Tom Cruise just knows how to make great action films at this point. He came out with Top Gun Maverick last year, which was one of my favorite films of the year. I've been a Mission Impossible fan. I wouldn't say I love the franchise as much as you. We also did an episode on this movie when it came out, as well as talking about some other Mission Impossible stuff. So go check that out if you want. But I think it delivers on pretty much everything you'd want from the Mission Impossible franchise. There's great stunts. Tom Cruise runs. Um, the story is interesting. It focuses on AI, which is very timely for right now, the world that we live in. For me personally, it wasn't. It didn't quite reach the heights of its predecessor, Fallout, but that's like one of my favorite action movies of all time, and I think that movie's unbelievable. So this one for me was still a very worthy follow up to that, and it set up the sequel, the second part to it, really well. I thought so. I'm gonna be looking forward to that for sure. But Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning, it's really good. Uh, yeah. Shout out, Palm Clementia, who plays Paris in this movie. He's like awesome. One of the most underrated parts of it. But yeah, Mission Impossible. Tom Cruise strikes again for me.
Yeah, we probably won't talk too much about this one later since we have done an episode on it, but I'm not ready to talk about it yet.
Yeah,
Well, my number 7 is a movie you probably don't have either. Scream 6.
I do not
Now,
have that one, but
now I do
yeah,
need to
go ahead.
rewatch this movie. I definitely need to give it a rewatch, but it's up there in terms of the franchise for me. I think it's one of the better Scream movies. Now, I don't think there's been a bad Scream movie besides Scream 3, of course. I've talked about that at length But Scream Six is really good, and I find the parallels between like Scream Six and Scream Two so interesting, and you can just tell that like fans of the franchise made this movie, and I think the movie greatly benefits from that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm also a big Scream franchise fan. I as well like all of the movies except the third one. This one is lower down on my list of movies I saw this year, but I still liked it. I didn't go out and see that much that I thought was bad this year. I really liked the idea to take the franchise to a new setting, New York City. I think that's exciting. I would have liked to see them play into that a little bit more because New York City is so like it's such an iconic location. It's so massive compared to like Woodsboro that I felt like they could have done a little bit more. And then also the villain reveal, like Ghostface stuff in this movie isn't my favorite in the franchise, but I don't think it's a bad movie at all. I still like it and I'll still rewatch it.
I would argue that Scream Six makes Scream Five better, which I don't know. I feel like that's a good thing for a sequel to do.
I would probably agree with you. I can't remember. I know I rewatched Scream 5 once. I don't remember if it was right before or right after I saw Scream 6, but I like Scream 5 more than Scream 6, but I think it's definitely true that Scream 6 improved the fifth one.
Yeah, it just makes Richie feel like a more important character in the long run. Like it
Yeah,
makes him
for
mean
sure.
more.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. All right. Moving right along, my number six is the biggest movie of the year. Very familiar to us since we are standing in the trees of its set right now. It's the Barbie movie. Now I know Braden wasn't as high on this one when he finally watched it, which is fine. It's a movie that's not for everyone. It's very out there. It's a lot of pink, a lot of crazy sets and costumes and all of that. But I just thought it was such a fun watch. So it's got just an energy about it that I think is so infectious, and I love. Ryan Gosling is hilarious in it. Most of the humor works for me, not all of it does, but I just rewatched it with my family and a lot of it held up. I think it has a lot of important stuff to say, even if it's not subtle in what it's saying. Like it definitely is very on the nose with a lot of commentary, but I think it works for the film. And again, most of this is just how much fun I had watching the movie. I thought it was super entertaining.
Yeah, it was just a bit too much for me at times, but I did get like the messages they were trying to send and everything. Obviously, like you said, they weren't very subtle about a lot. They were kind of in your face about it, but that was fine. It didn't really bother me. It did fit like the vibe of the movie, but that vibe is not really the vibe I look for in a lot of movies.
Which is fair, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was all right, but yeah, visually it looked very, very good. I thought it was
Oh, dude,
probably one of the most beautiful looking movies of the year.
I agree with that 100%. It visually looks great. I can't imagine how much went into that production design because there's not a lot of CG involved. Most of it is um, really them creating those sets and those that look of the film, which is super impressive.
I'm surprised the look of the movie didn't change like a lot between like Barbie Land and the real world. I figured like the real world would look so much more like desolate compared to
Mm,
Barbie Land,
yeah,
right? That that's kind of
yeah,
what I was expecting, and that's not what it ended up being, which is fine, but I don't know.
yeah. That's a fair point for sure. But yeah, I still loved it. It's not for everyone by any means, but if you haven't seen it, I'd suggest at least giving it a shot. Maybe you'll love it. Maybe you'll love the Barbie movie.
Yeah. Well, my number six is a movie you mentioned earlier that we can deep dive into a bit more, I guess. It's The Holdovers. This is I just watched it today. It's yeah, already one of my favorite Christmas movies. It might make it into the annual rotation just because I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of rewatch value there. Like there's a lot of character depth, a lot of emotion in this film, just a lot of relatability, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's super relatable. I agree with that 100%. It's also cool to get um a Christmas movie that is R rated and has, I mean, there's swear words and there's very mature adult themes within this movie. They drop F bombs, but it still feels like a family movie at its core. Like its
I was
values
literally
and
about
its,
to say this is R rated, but then you were like, yeah, they dropped swear words. I'm like, yeah, I guess they do. Like that's not what
yeah.
you remember from the movie.
No, that's what I'm saying, but that helps it feel real. But it still feels like a movie you can sit down with your family and watch and enjoy. I mean, obviously not if you have super young kids, but I mean, I watched this with my family and we all had a great time. Its themes are inherently like
I don't think
very
super
good
young kids
message.
are gonna be able to get into this movie. Like they're probably just gonna go and do their own thing if you start this movie.
Yeah, which is totally fine. We don't blame the young kids, but if you have that sort of family that's like a little more grown up, I feel like this is such a good watch on Christmas. Like you said, it's got emotion, it's got great performances, great just relationships between the characters. There's lots of scenes of them like just sitting around together that never make me lose interest, and I'm always like I'm there for it.
Yeah, there are some like really deep things in this movie, and like I would love to go into them, but if you haven't seen this movie, watch it. It's entirely worth
Yeah, I don't
it.
want to
It's
spoil.
on
I don't
Peacock
want to
right
spoil
now. If
too
you
much.
have that, if you're in the US, you have that. Go watch it. I don't know where it might be if you're like elsewhere, but see if it's in
I
on anything streaming where you are, and if it is, check it out. It's worth a
Yeah,
watch,
absolutely.
100%.
Highly recommend. It's also cool because they go to Boston in the movie, which is where I am for college, and some of the locations are like right near where I stay in the dorms. So it's pretty cool.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah. But no, it is a great movie. Not nothing I would say like extraordinary that's gonna like blow your mind, but it just all works when you watch it. Like it all fits in place and you just have a really good time.
Yeah, I don't really care if there's anything mind blowing or not when I feel like it's rare for a movie to not have a dull moment, but I feel like this movie pulls it off. Like I was never bored at all.
Yeah, me either.
The
No.
pacing in it is really, really good.
Yeah. I agree with that 100%. The Holdovers is awesome. But all right, moving right along. My number five is a movie I've seen a lot of controversy over it, at least in the sort of film like Twitter sphere online, which I know you're not as into as I am. But it's the Bradley Cooper movie Maestro. This is a biopic. It's about Leonard Bernstein, who was a composer and a conductor, really famous in America. Responsible for writing like West Side Story and also conducting the New York Philharmonic Orchestra, I think. I loved it. It is a biopic, but it escapes a lot of the boredom that I feel like a lot of biopics get bogged down into. Like I watch a lot of biopics, and sometimes they're just not that interesting. But this character, Leonard Bernstein, is super interesting to me, and I feel like the movie deals with it really well. It's kind of a story about one man who is just so has such a love of life and artistry and music that um, he can't really be contained in one thing, and he has to constantly be moving, constantly be doing things. And Bradley Cooper's great in it. He plays him. Carey Mulligan is in this, who continues to be one of the best actresses working today. She's great in Promising Young Woman. She's great in Drive. She's great in pretty much everything she's in. Love Carey Mulligan. And I don't know if this is one I would recommend to everybody, but if you have any interest in Leonard Bernstein or music and art and are willing to sit through a pretty artsy, technical biopic, I thought it was great. I love it.
Yeah, I have yet to see that. I don't know if I will see it just because, well, to be
It's
fair,
okay.
I haven't watched a lot of biopics, so I can't really like say they're not my thing because I haven't. Maybe I will watch it. Give it a chance, you know?
It's not that long. So I mean, it's only a little over 2 hours. It's not one of those like 2 hour and 40 minutes where you're just like sitting in your chair wanting to die. Um, So hey, if you give it a chance, that'd be great. But no pressure because it is, I feel like, a film for a very unique type of person.
Well, your number five was a film I have not seen. I think my number five is a movie you've yet to see, John Wick 4. Is that correct?
That is correct. I do need to
You've
see
seen the
John Wick
first
4,
three,
but
right?
talk about, I have, yeah, I just
Okay.
never talk about how
Well,
awesome it is. So go
John
ahead.
Wick 4. So, I think this movie is awesome. I really do. Uh It could be number one if it was shorter, because I think just some of the
Mm,
action scenes in it do drag out a bit, and it just gets kind of repetitive. It's kind of just the same thing over and over again. It's just John Wick, like, oh yeah, he's John Wick. He's gonna take out all these freaking guys. Here's a 20-minute action scene of him doing the same stuff over and over. I'm like, okay, bro, you can cut a little sooner than this. Get to the next scene. Get this moving. That's really my only complaint with it, though. I think the
yeah.
character work is really good, the performances all the way around are good, and the action overall is still incredible. It's just like some of it goes on too long. But yeah, yeah, no, I definitely recommend it. Since you haven't seen it, I'd recommend checking it out as soon as you can, especially if you like the first three.
Yeah. I,
Because
no,
I think it's my second favorite of the franchise behind the first,
ooh,
and I think it's pretty much the perfect ending for John Wick. I do not want there to be another John Wick movie after this.
yeah. Uh, that's that's awesome. I need to watch it. It was just one I couldn't get to in theaters. The length kind of scared me, to be honest. It is
That's fair. That's
super
fair.
long.
Especially like in the
Yeah,
theater. That's
yeah. In the theater.
see, I need to give Oppenheimer another watch because of that because it's still in my top 10, but like I don't know if it would be higher if I, just watched it at home at my own pace because I watched it at like midnight in a theater and was tired as hell by 2
Oh
a.m.
my god. That's crazy. But yeah, I'm gonna watch John Wick 4. I like the first three movies, and I'm happy you loved it so much. My number four is another one you have not seen. I've got a couple here towards the top, but it's a film called Bottom that came out. It is entirely a comedy. It's set in high school. It's a bunch of high schoolers, and I didn't know if it would be for me, but I think this movie is fucking hilarious. I've seen it like two times, and then I kind of watched it through a third time when it came out on digital with some people. It's basically about these two best friends in high school. They're both lesbian, and they don't have a girlfriend. They're very down on themselves, and they start this like essentially a fight club for women at their high school and they phrase it under this guise of like protecting yourself and like being able to stand up to the football players and everything who treat them poorly, but really they're just trying to get bitches. Um, I think it's super funny. Lesbian fight clubs, kind of all you need to know. Marshawn Lynch is in this movie, which is the funniest thing ever. He's so good. He improv basically his entire role, and he's so funny.
Okay.
Watch it.
Me
Watch it
knowing
with your
literally nothing about this movie besides Marshawn Lynch being in it before this moment, it makes me want to watch this movie. This sounds pretty fucking dope.
Yeah, it I will say it is inherently a dumb movie. Like there's some gags in it that feel like they shouldn't work, but at least within the context of the film, it doesn't take itself seriously. So it allows for those moments to work, at least in my opinion. So it is sort of silly. It is well, it's very silly, but it's sort of dumb. But it's got a lot of laughs. It's got Marshawn Lynch being awesome, and it's got some heart too. I don't want to say it's like just a comedy that's there to make yourself laugh. It's got some pretty cool themes. It's also very short, 91 minutes. Um, I recommend giving it a shot. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, I need to check that out whenever I can. My number four is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Woo!
Yeah, I thought it was really good. It was really good. Just like the first one. I didn't think it was quite as good, but still really good. Uh I really hate Spider-Punk in this movie. I really like the way he's animated
Yeah,
too, like how every part of his body like is animated at a different frame rate. I think that's pretty freaking
that's so
cool.
cool.
It's
That's
very
so
cool.
cool.
I'm like that. It's also it's like it's a good thing, but it can be a bad thing about this movie. This movie specifically, I don't think it's a problem in the first one, but like they go all out with the animation, and sometimes it's just a little too much for me, man. Like there's too much shit happening on screen for me to like
Yeah.
focus right now. Like you can tone it down just a little bit. But that's my really only complaint with the movie. Like I think the story of it all is incredibly good. I think the last 20 minutes of this movie is pure cinema, peak cinema, some of the best shit I've ever seen in a movie ever. If the rest of the movie was
Yeah.
up to that par, then yeah, this would be the best movie of the year, maybe the best movie of all time.
Well, it was number one on Letterboxd for like a certain period this year. It's not anymore, but I will jump in just because it that movie is also my number three, so I would transition to it anyway. Across the
Hey,
Spider
look at
Verse is
that.
awesome. I know. Look at us. It's all working out. The plan's coming together. But yeah, Across the Spider Verse is phenomenal. Into the Spider Verse is one of my favorite movies of all time. I have such a special attachment to that movie, and I don't think Across is as good. Um, just personally, I prefer the sort of intimacy that the first movie kind of allows, whereas this one feels like once you get into that second act, it's going crazy. You meet so many characters. There's so much going on, and it's just swinging for the fences at every point. And it hits most of those balls, but once in a while there is a stumble or it is too much, which I kind of agree with what you were saying on the level of the animation. The animation's incredible, but there's just so much going on here. But aside from that, I love this movie to death. I think the storytelling is great. Braden is absolutely correct. The last 20 minutes of this movie are unbelievable. Had me on the edge of my seat, and when it ended, I was kind of pissed off because I wanted more. I was like into it from that point on. But
Bro, if
yeah, I
someone
think
had
it's
a
a great
gun to my
film.
head and was like, hey, make a movie to watch the last 20 minutes of for the rest of your fucking life right now, or I'm gonna pull the trigger, I'd be like, ah, Across the Spider-Verse.
Hey, that's fair because the last 20 minutes are incredible. I like Spider-Man 2099 in here quite a bit. I think he's a pretty compelling and interesting sort of villain, antagonist, if you want to call it that. He's not the only antagonist of the film, but yeah, I just think it's an awesome follow-up to an already incredible original film.
Yeah, yeah, like this, depending on what Beyond does, I mean, it has the potential to be best comic book movie trilogy of all time, maybe the best movie trilogy of all time.
Yeah, I mean the Beyond's got to be awesome for that, but it definitely the potential's there for sure.
Yeah, at least best animated trilogy of all time. It's definitely there for that. Just the fact how beautiful it looks.
Yeah, insanely gorgeous movie.
Well, my number three is the one movie in the theater I saw this year that made me shed a tear. It's Guardians of the Galaxy 3. That son of a bitch, James Gunn. He made me shed a goddamn tear
Hey,
for a raccoon, bro. He fucking did
oh
it.
man,
Dude, I didn't
yeah.
even care about Rocket before this movie.
No, me either. That's what's
That's all
crazy
you need
about
to
it.
know. If you haven't seen Guardians 3, just go watch this shit. It's so emotionally investing.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, dude, it's like, I think the MCU has gone so downhill. I think it has. It just has since I would argue
Hmm.
since Infinity War. A lot of people say since Endgame. I would argue that like since Infinity War has gone downhill. I don't think Endgame was as good as Infinity
Yeah.
War was. I don't think Far From Home was as good as either of those were. But yeah, no, man, Guardians 3 was like the biggest hit the MCU has had the past 5 years, in my opinion. I thought it was fucking incredible. The emotion was there. It was funny. There wasn't too much humor. Like a lot of people look at James Gunn as like a comedic director, but looking at the MCU and how pissed off I get with their humor half the time, Guardians 3, like I never had that problem.
Yeah.
I feel like James Gunn knows when like when the wrong time for a joke is at this point in his career at least. Like if you look
Hmm.
back at his older stuff, maybe he didn't. But I feel like at this point he knows. Or he should know at least. I feel like he did in this movie.
Yeah. I think most humor is contained and works really well in the movie. Yeah. For me, it was just I think I really am in a bit of a funk with the MCU. I don't think the rest of it's been as good. I think this is a clear step up from pretty much everything else the last 3 years or so. It
I
wasn't
kind of
enough
feel
to
like
be
this
in.
might have benefited from being like kind of a standalone movie too, just because it wasn't held down
Yeah,
by any greater MCU aspects.
yeah. I agree with that all. It's got, of course, a banging soundtrack because it's James Gunn. Um, Maybe a little on the longer side. It is about 2.5 hours, but I definitely really liked this movie. Had a great time with it. I also was tearing up at the rocket stuff, which is extremely impressive. So shout out James Gunn. Let's hope he can do some similar stuff over at DC Comics.
Yeah, for real, man. My man James Gunn saved DC.
Please, we need it. All right. Well, from a movie that made Braden shed a tear in the theater to a movie at my number two that made me shed tears in the theaters. It's a film called Past Lives. It is a pretty much a romance drama, straight up. And I don't know if this one would be for Braden, but at least for me, I thought it was so beautiful and emotional and just super well done. It's kind of one of those. Um, like right person, wrong time love stories where they never really get together, but they're kind of perfect for each other and they kind of love each other anyways. The characters both feel so fleshed out. They're just there's really sincere, honest writing in this movie that I connected with even as like a younger person who hasn't been through like as much relationship stuff as I'm sure a lot of other people who are connecting with this film even more. But once in a while, I'm a sucker for this type of movie. La La Land, one of my favorite movies of all time. This one worked for me. It's also a directorial debut, which I think is really impressive because the movie looks great technically. So yeah, don't watch it if you don't want to be sad. But Past Lives is pretty great.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one yet either. My number two is a movie you mentioned earlier as well. It's Air. Ben Affleck.
Hey,
Benny A.
Benny A, Benny
He's
A,
5 for 5 directing in my eyes. I don't care. People give what the fuck was the movie? Live by Night? Is
Live by
that it?
Night. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. People give that movie so much shit, but I think it's pretty good.
I like that movie. I think it's good.
It's it's probably my least favorite of his, but yeah, it's still good.
Yeah, it is. It is for me as well. But no, I like it. Definitely not as good as Air. I'll tell you that.
No, Air, as you would say, you always refer to this movie as the ultimate dad movie, and I feel
It
like
is
that's
the
a
ultimate
fair
dad movie.
assessment. It's so
Yeah.
great, man. Like if you're just a fan of dad movies, if you're a fan of like I don't know, just real life stories, a fan of sports, specifically basketball, just a fan of shoes in general, I'd recommend this movie. If you're a fan of fantastic performances in a film, I'd recommend this movie. I
Matt
think
Damon is so good. Viola
he
Davis
is. I
too.
think this is Damon's like best performance since Ford v Ferrari. Viola Davis is incredible in this movie.
I would argue Matt Damon might be better in this than he is in Ford v Ferrari. And
Oh, I
I
think so
love
too.
Ford v Ferrari. I mean, there's an argument this is Damon's best since The Martian, I would say. I think he's really great in Air. But Viola Davis kind of steals the show as well.
Yeah, they're both so incredible, and Ben Affleck is really good in it too. It's just like his character doesn't add as much to the story as Damon's and Davis's does.
Yeah. But no, it's so good. People were I saw because Barack Obama always releases his like favorite movies of the year list at the end of the year. Air was on it, and some people were like, "Really, Air, one of the best movies of the year?" And it's like, dude, Barack Obama is like a middle-aged dad who lived in Chicago during the height of Michael Jordan and the Bulls. Like, of
Look,
course he's gonna have it on there.
look, I am a 24-year-old man, and Air. This is my second favorite Ben Affleck directed movie, only behind The Town. Okay, I think
Yeah,
it's great.
I don't know if I like Argo more than Air or not, but it's close for me. And it's probably I probably lean Air just for the rewatch factor. I've already rewatched Air once, and I am
It's
looking forward to doing
surprising
it
to
again.
I was excited for this movie before it came out because Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, or well, directed by Ben Affleck, starring. Damon and
Yeah.
Affleck, and also Jason Bateman. I think Jason Bateman is like the worst of the main performances in this movie. I love the guy, but his character didn't really add much to the movie. But I don't know, just given the
Yeah.
stat cast and like the concept, I was interested enough. Affleck was directing, of course, I was excited for it. It's surprisingly rewatchable for like the concept that it is. It's the making of the Air Jordan. You wouldn't think that's a very rewatchable movie.
It's super rewatchable. It's just it's so fun. I like the soundtrack. There's a lot of good music picks in here that I like. I would say yeah, especially if you're a fan of movies like anyone who loved Ford v Ferrari has to watch this movie. Like that's just a given because it's kind of that next great dad movie that's come out, and I love it so much.
Yeah, shout out to Peter, man. The one that made the Air Jordan. Shout out to the shoemaker.
The one that made the shoe, bro. He's great in this movie. I love him. I love him.
Chris Tucker was also like really good as kind of like the middleman at points.
Oh yeah, he's in this movie. I forget about that. He's
Yeah,
good.
I hadn't seen Chris Tucker in anything since like Rush Hour. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, I love him. This is getting way too specific, but I love the scene where Damon's talking to the one guy at the bar who just happened to be at the Martin Luther King I had a dream speech,
Oh yeah,
and he talks about all that because that actually happened too, which is like
yeah. That's crazy.
that's insane to just be there and then not like to know that MLK like basically made up the second half of that speech on the spot or whatever. That's so insane to me. But Air is awesome. Glad you loved it so much. Now we get to my number one, and it's a movie Braden already brought up. It's a movie I love significantly more than him, and I'm okay with that. It's Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer. Um, it is long. It can seem a little like too much or uninteresting at points to some people. I get that, but to me, I was super invested and engaged the whole time. I think the sort of existential dread that this movie puts on its viewer is really impressive. The directing and the cinematography and everything are great. One thing Braden didn't mention that I want to is Ludwig Göransson's score. It's phenomenal. Ludwig Göransson continues to be one of the best, most talented people working in Hollywood. Definitely one of the most talented composers. And like we said already, Cillian Murphy is awesome. I'd love for him to get an Oscar for this. Um, Basically, the entire ensemble is great. I think Emily Blunt's really good. Robert Downey Jr. is really good supporting. I haven't rewatched it yet, so maybe I won't think as highly of it on rewatch, but I feel like it's gonna hold up for me. I just love this story and this character. I thought it was so well done. So Nolan gets my flowers after Tenet, which I didn't love that much. He comes back, and this movie just landed for all cylinders for me.
Oh yeah, I agree. It's definitely an improvement to Tenet. I still like the movie a lot. I'm just not as high on it as you are. But like I said earlier, I do need to give it a rewatch and see if I'm sure there's more I can take in just watching it at home, opposed to
Yeah,
the one
probably.
watching the
Yeah.
theater.
Yeah.
And my number one is also a movie you mentioned earlier. It's Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part One. Yeah, Mission Impossible 7. I do agree that it's a step down from Fallout, but
Hmm.
I think it is the second best entry in the franchise. I think anyone that says Ghost Protocol is better than this one, I'm not going to argue with you at all. But
Yeah, I
those
just
three are the
rewatched Ghost
best.
Protocol, and I like it a little bit more than Dead Reckoning, but I still like Dead Reckoning a lot. I agree with you; those are the three best for sure.
Yeah, it was a I don't know, it's a step down from Fallout, but I thought it was good enough, a good enough follow up for it. Like it was still really good, really investing. I thought they set up part two well enough. I'm hoping part two is the end, to be honest, because I just don't see where they go after this. And
Yeah,
it's been so consistent as a franchise. Like pretty much all the movies have been good, besides especially like from three on, they've been pretty heavily considered great by most people.
yeah,
I don't
I like pretty
like
much
don't
everyone
ruin
since
that,
three. So
just end it well and have it be the end.
yeah, I agree. Happy you love this one. I know you're a huge Mission Impossible fan. That franchise is so interesting to me because it's like I don't really like the first or second film that much. And
Me
it's like
either.
it's
Like
the
I,
only franchise I can think of that does that, where it starts off with multiple that aren't that great and then just transforms into like an awesome action franchise.
yeah, because most franchises that get like three or more movies, it's usually the first was good.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
exactly.
quite
But hey,
interesting.
I'm glad they kept making them because there's some great movies in there, including Dead Reckoning, which is really good. I loved it.
Yeah, I did as well. Obviously, it's my number one of 2023. But yeah, we did an entire episode on Dead Reckoning, so go check that out if you haven't. But that was it.
Yeah,
That was our
that's
best
it.
of 2023.
Those are the list. This was a lot of fun. A lot of good movies. I saw a lot of movies. You did too last year. Um, I don't know. Looking forward to this year. I don't know. There's not that much in 2024 that I'm like super excited for just off the bat. Looking at stuff that's coming out, but I'm sure there's going to be surprises and whatnot, just like there are every year. So, looking
Yeah, for
forward to it.
sure. Me as well. We'll see how 2024 turns out. Hopefully, it's a great year for cinema and us as movie fans.
Could not have said it better myself. Well, friends, listeners, boys. I think that does it. But we'll see you sometime.
Yeah, we'll see you sometime the next time with whatever we'll be talking about. But in the
I
meantime,
have no idea. Yeah.
yeah, in the meantime, you can find the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcast. If you're not listening to this on YouTube already, you can find it on YouTube at the Red Arrow, and you can find this guy Everest at Arkanai's on YouTube. And where else can they find you?
Yo.
Is there anything else you want to plug, Everest?
I mean, you can follow me on Twitter at Organized YT, I guess. Sometimes I tweet about there. I tweet a lot of sports stuff, but yeah, about it.
But until next time, that's been it. We're the Giggly Gorillas.